Most people are slaves to their emotions. One comment can destroy their peace. One glance can shift their confidence. One opinion can rewrite their identity. But not you. Not after this. You're here to master the one skill that separates the powerful from the powerless. Emotional control. The moment you stop reacting, you start commanding. This audiobook is your training ground to stop being pulled by emotion and start moving by discipline. You're not here to feel better. You're here to get stronger. Let's begin.
Absolutely. Here's the full audiobook script, 1,050 worders. Chapter 1. Stop reacting, start responding. Repetition phrase, you have a choice. Most people live on emotional autopilot. They react before they think. They speak before they breathe. They move before they mean to. And then they spend hours, days, sometimes years, cleaning up the damage from a 5-second reaction. That's not control. That's chaos. And chaos is weakness. You want to be powerful? You want to be respected? Then stop reacting, start responding. Because here's the truth. Power begins in the pause. Right there, in the 2 seconds between what happens to you and what you choose to do about it. That space, that tiny invisible reaction gap is where maturity lives. It's where strength is born. It's where emotional control begins. You have a choice. Every time someone disrespects you, you have a choice. Someone ignores you, you have a choice. Someone lies, insults, provokes, you still have a choice. Weak people forget they have one. Strong people use it. That's the difference between reaction and response. Reaction is automatic. Response is intentional. Reaction is emotional. Response is strategic. Reaction is what the world expects. Response is what the world remembers. So let's train that gap. Let's train that pause. Because that's your weapon, the reaction gap. When something triggers you, you get a burst of emotion. That surge, it's biochemical. It's fast, it's real. But it's also temporary. Anger lasts 90 seconds if you don't feed it with more thought. 90 seconds, that's it. Most people never let those 90 seconds pass. They feed the fire with words, arguments, stories, drama. They burn everything around them and then blame the world for the ashes. You're not going to live that way anymore. You're going to claim your 2-second rule, your reaction gap. That's where you win. That's where you separate yourself from everyone else. When the emotion hits, don't move, don't speak, don't post, don't text. Pause, breathe, own that moment. In that space, your power returns. You have a choice. Say it with me. You have a choice. The art of the pause. Let's make this practical. The next time you feel your heart race, breathe in slowly through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold for 2. Exhale for 4. That's it. That single breath resets your nervous system. That single breath reclaims your control. Then fix your posture. Lift your chin. Drop your shoulders. Stand tall. Why? Because your body leads your mind. You can't think clearly while your body screams chaos. Then control your tone. You can say the same words, calm or aggressive, and get 2 different worlds in return. Tone is everything. It's the emotional temperature you set for the room. You want to lead? Then lower the temperature. Remember, reacting gives power away. Responding takes it back. Why people react? You react when you need to prove something. You react when you feel insecure. You react when you've given the world permission to control you. That's why you get angry. That's why you lash out. That's why you can't sleep. Because you let them run your emotions. It's not about what they said. It's about how much you allowed it to matter. You have a choice. Always. You can't stop people from disrespecting you. You can't stop life from testing you. But you can stop giving every event emotional power. That's control. That's discipline. That's leadership. Stop asking, why did they do that? Start asking, why did I react? Because that's where growth begins. That's where peace begins. Real power looks calm. Watch the strongest people on earth, the ones who lead under chaos. They don't panic, they don't shout, they don't flinch. Their calm makes others calm. Their stillness leads the storm. That's what you're building here. Calm power. When everyone else is emotional, you'll be grounded. When they explode, you'll breathe. When they fight for attention, you'll walk away in silence. That's not weakness, that's mastery. You'll notice how uncomfortable people get when they can't shake you. They'll try harder. They'll test you. They'll poke, insult, gossip, anything to pull you out of your center. Don't take the bait. Smile internally. Because when they lose control and you don't, you've already won. That's the silent game of strength. Calm always wins. Emotional control is training. You're not born calm. You train it. You build it one pause, one breath, one decision at a time. Every moment is practice. The more you pause, the faster you recognize the gap. The faster you recognize the gap, the shorter your chaos lasts. And eventually, that control becomes automatic, not robotic, intentional. You'll still feel emotion. You'll still care. You just won't be owned by it. You'll choose your reaction instead of being chosen by it. That's the difference between amateurs and professionals, between chaos and command. You have a choice. Remember that. What happens when you don't react? When you stop reacting, three things happen. One, you become unpredictable. People lose power over you because they can't control your response. Two, you save energy. Every fight avoided is strength saved. Every silence builds endurance. Three, you gain respect. Because nothing commands more attention than composure under pressure. Power doesn't need to prove itself. It's quiet. You don't need to react to every challenge. You don't need to defend every opinion. You don't need to explain your piece. Silence is the statement. The discipline of response. Here's the truth. You don't control the world. You only control how you move through it. That's your power. That's your peace. When you respond, not react, you're no longer a prisoner of the moment. You're the architect of it. You design your tone, you design your posture, you design your direction. That's emotional discipline, and it's rare. Most people won't understand it. They'll call you cold, detached, emotionless. That's fine. Let them talk. You'll be too busy leading yourself to care. Because control isn't about suppression. It's about clarity. It's about deciding my emotions serve me, not the other way around. You have a choice every time. Closing transition. You've just learned the first law of emotional control. Pause before you act. That pause is your power. That pause is your peace. That pause is what separates the weak from the disciplined. You mastered the gap, the space between chaos and control. Now it's time to protect the energy that gap creates, because once you stop reacting, you start conserving power. And power is your true currency. Next, Chapter 2. Your feelings aren't facts. Would you like me to write Chapter 2? Your feelings aren't facts, approximately 1,000 words, next, in the exact same voice, pacing, and repetition style? Absolutely. Here's the complete, full-length audiobook script for 1,050 words for Chapter 2. Your feelings aren't fact. Repetition phrase, feel it, Don't follow it. You feel angry. You feel tired. You feel anxious. You feel unmotivated. Good. Feel it. But don't follow it because feelings are not fact. They're weather patterns, not maps. They pass through. They shift. They change. And if you let them steer your life, you'll never find solid ground. Feel it. Don't follow it. That's the discipline. That's the difference between those who crumble and those who command. The truth about feeling. Here's the truth. Your feelings are signals, not orders. They're data, not directions. When you feel fear, it's your body saying, pay attention. When you feel anger, it's your body saying, something feels off. When you feel doubt, it's your brain saying, are we sure? But none of that means stop. None of that means quit. None of that means you can't. Your emotions don't define reality, they reveal your state. And that's the key. You can acknowledge your feelings without obeying them. That's strength. You can say, I'm angry, but I won't lash out. You can say, I'm scared, but I'll still act. You can say, I'm tired, but I'll finish anyway. That's emotional discipline. That's leadership. That's power. The weak obey their feelings. Weak people chase comfort. They follow every mood swing like it's a compass. They wake up tired, so they cancel. They get criticized, so they stop. They feel fear, so they hide. And then they wonder why life feels stuck. Because if your feelings are your master, you'll never experience mastery. Every person who's built something great learned the same truth. Feelings lie. Discipline tells the truth. You have to decide who runs your life, your emotions or your execution. The power of separation. Here's a skill you can train right now. Separate what you feel from what you must do. Say it again. Separate what you feel from what you must do. You don't need to feel like showing up to show up. You don't need to feel ready to begin. You don't need to feel confident to act with confidence. Your feelings are feedback. Your standards are orders. The soldier doesn't feel like running drills every morning. He runs anyway. The CEO doesn't feel like taking the tough call. She takes it anyway. The athlete doesn't feel like training in pain. He trains anyway. That's discipline. The decision to honor your values over your moods. Real-world examples. Look at the best in any field. They don't act on feelings, they act on standards. A surgeon doesn't say, I don't feel like operating today. A pilot doesn't say, I'm too anxious to fly. A Navy SEAL doesn't say, I'm not motivated to train. They all have one thing in common: discipline over emotion. That's why they win. That's why they're trusted. That's why they're calm when others panic. When chaos hits, emotion-based people crumble. Discipline-based people execute. Because they've trained their minds to listen but not obey emotion. They feel it, but they don't follow it. Emotions as tools. Your emotions are not enemies. They're signals. They're teachers. Fear teaches awareness. Anger teaches boundaries. Sadness teaches depth. Joy teaches gratitude. The problem isn't emotion, it's attachment. You start believing your feelings are the truth, and that's where control is lost. You can use emotion as fuel. You can turn pain into power. You can turn frustration into focus. But only if you control the direction. Because emotion without direction is destruction. Emotion under discipline is domination. The emotional test. Here's your daily test. When a strong feeling hits, pause and ask 3 questions. 1. What is this emotion trying to tell me? Is it fear, anger, doubt, ego? Identify it. 2. Is this information or instruction? Am I supposed to notice it or obey it? 3. What action aligns with my principles, not my emotions? Because that's where your strength lives, in choosing principle over mood. That's your self-check system. That's your emotional armor. You don't suppress emotion. You separate from it and decide from logic. That's what leaders do. Why emotional control builds respect. Let me tell you something the world won't. People don't respect feelings. They respect control. They respect the person who stays composed under fire. They respect the one who doesn't panic when everyone else does. They respect the one who doesn't let emotions leak into decisions. That's why calm people lead. That's why controlled people rise. Because when your emotions are under discipline, you become predictable. And predictability is power. You're not swayed by moods. You're anchored by mission. People trust that. They follow that. Feel it. Don't follow it. How to train this discipline? Let's make this practical. Every day, train your mind to separate feeling from doing. Step 1. Notice your emotions without judgment. Say it out loud. I feel angry. I feel tired. I feel scared. Awareness creates distance. Distance creates control. Step 2. Breathe before you move. A single deep breath between emotion and action rewires your brain for control. Step 3. Anchor yourself to standards. Write them down. If it's on my schedule, I do it. If it's part of my plan, I execute. If it aligns with my values, I follow through, no matter how I feel. That's discipline. That's the edge. Over time, you'll notice something powerful. Your feelings will start following your standards. You'll wake up tired, but your body will move anyway. You'll feel fear, but your hand won't shake. You'll feel anger, but your voice will stay calm. That's not suppression, that's supremacy. You've mastered the signal. You've silenced the noise. The danger of following feelings. Let's be clear. Following your feelings is the fastest way to lose everything. People destroy relationships because they felt angry. They quit dreams because they felt discouraged. They waste years chasing comfort because they didn't feel ready. Feelings are temporary. Consequences are permanent. Never let a temporary emotion make a permanent decision. The disciplined don't react. They regulate. They don't chase the emotional high. They chase the mission. That's the key. That's the difference between wasted potential and unstoppable power. The transformation. Here's your transformation. You stop being a puppet pulled by emotion. You start being a commander directing it. You feel everything deeply, but you act from strength deliberately. Because the goal isn't to be emotionless, it's to be emotionally mastered. When you master emotion, you master execution. And when you master execution, you master life. That's where real confidence comes from, knowing that no matter what you feel, you'll still move forward. That's unstoppable. So from now on, remember this. You don't need to feel like it to do it. You just need to do it until the feeling follows. Feel it. Don't follow it. Closing transition. You've learned how to separate what you feel from what you must do. That separation is your power. That separation is what makes you untouchable. You no longer move by mood. You move by mission. Now that you've claimed your emotions, it's time to protect your focus because your mind is a battlefield and most people lose before they even know they're fighting. Next, Chapter 3. Master the mental battlefield. Would you like me to write Chapter 3, Master the mental battlefield, approximately 1,000 words, in the same voice, tone, and pacing? Absolutely. Here's the complete full-length audiobook script for 1,050 words. Chapter 3. Energy is currency. Protect it. Repetition phrase, protect your energy like money. You don't need to lose energy. You choose to. Every word you speak, every argument you enter, every scroll, every gossip, every reaction, it all costs you something. Energy is currency. Protect it like money because most people aren't tired. They're drained. Not by work, not by purpose, but by noise. They spend their emotional balance on everything that doesn't matter, on people who don't matter, on arguments that change nothing. And then they wonder why they have no focus left for what's important. The truth about energy. Your energy is your power. It's not infinite. You only get so much every day. Think of it like a bank account. Every thought, every worry, every reaction, it all makes a withdrawal. When you argue with fools, withdrawal. When you replay the past, withdrawal. When you chase validation, withdrawal. By noon, you're bankrupt. That's the problem. You think your exhaustion is physical. It's emotional. You're broke because you keep spending your energy like it's free. It's not. Protect your energy like money. That's the key. The cost of reaction. Every time you react, you pay. Every time you explain yourself to someone who doesn't care, you pay. Every time you engage in drama, gossip, or online noise, you pay. And the price is clarity. Because energy isn't just about movement, it's about attention. Where your attention goes, your energy flows. And where your energy flows, your life grows. So if your energy flows toward chaos, guess what grows? More chaos, more confusion, more distraction. You're feeding the wrong fire. You can't complain about your peace while you're funding your stress. You can't say you want focus while you keep investing in noise. That's like saying you want to save money while buying every shiny thing you see. Protect your energy like money. The cost of reaction. Every time you react, you pay. Every time you explain yourself to someone who doesn't care, you pay. Every time you engage in drama, gossip, or online noise, you pay. And the price is clarity. Because energy isn't just about movement, it's about attention. Where your attention goes, your energy flows. And where your energy flows, your life grows. So if your energy flows toward chaos, guess what grows? More chaos, more confusion, more distraction. You're feeding the wrong fire. You can't complain about your peace while you're funding your stress. You can't say you want focus while you keep investing in noise. That's like saying you want to save money while buying every shiny thing you see. Protect your energy like money. Emotional control equals financial discipline for the mind. Let's get practical. Your emotions are your wallet. Your attention is your spending habit. If you want wealth in the mind, you need discipline in emotion. When someone tries to provoke you, that's a purchase decision. When someone insults you, that's a spending opportunity. When social media tempts you, that's another bill waiting to be paid. Ask yourself before you react, is this worth my energy? Most of the time, it's not. You wouldn't hand cash to a stranger who yells at you in public, so why do you hand them your peace? Emotional control is financial discipline for your mind. You budget your reactions. You invest your focus. You save your calm. That's real power. The art of disengagement. You don't fight every battle. You don't respond to every message. You don't need to explain your peace to chaos. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. Detachment is not apathy, it's self-respect. When you disengage, you're not giving up, you're cashing out. You're saying, I don't trade energy for nonsense. Learn the art of disengagement. It has three forms: silence, redirection, withdrawal. 1. Silence. You don't owe anyone a reaction. Silence starves drama. When they can't get your attention, they can't control your energy. 2. Redirection. When people try to drain you, shift your focus. Go build, go train, go plan. Every time you redirect attention, you multiply strength. 3. Withdrawal. Walk away, not from life, from noise. The strongest people aren't those who fight every battle, they walk away from every trap. That's the discipline. That's the protection. Protect your energy like money. Energy vampires. Let's talk about energy thieves. You know them. They drain every room they enter. They gossip, complain, argue, and leave you exhausted. They feed off your reaction. They live off your attention. Stop feeding them. You don't need to fix them. You don't need to prove anything. You just need to stop funding them with your focus. The more you respond, the more they collect. So stop paying their emotional rent. Energy vampires can't survive without you. Once you stop reacting, they fade. That's why silence is your strongest move. It's not weakness, it's strategy. Protect your energy like money. Energy vampires. Let's talk about energy thieves. You know them. They drain every room they enter. They gossip, complain, argue, and leave you exhausted. They feed off your reaction. They live off your attention. Stop feeding them. You don't need to fix them. You don't need to prove anything. You just need to stop funding them with your focus. The more you respond, the more they collect. So stop paying their emotional rent. Energy vampires can't survive without you. Once you stop reacting, they fade. That's why silence is your strongest move. It's not weakness, it's strategy. Protecting the energy budget. Let's build your energy budget, a system to protect your mental wealth. Every morning, imagine your energy as 100 coins. Every action costs coins. Ask yourself, where are you spending? 10 coins on social media arguments? 20 coins on worrying about others' opinions? 30 coins on overthinking the past? By the time you get to what matters, your goals, your health, your relationships, you're broke. You can't afford that. Start tracking your energy like you track expenses. If it doesn't bring peace, growth, or purpose, it's a bad investment. From now on, stop over-explaining, stop arguing, stop trying to prove. Start protecting. Protect your energy like money. What happens when you conserve energy? When you stop reacting to every noise, something powerful happens. You start to see clearly. Your mind quiets. Your focus sharpens. Your creativity returns. Because silence isn't empty, it's full of answers. When you stop spending energy on chaos, you start investing in clarity. You become more productive, more peaceful, more powerful. And people will notice. They'll call you cold. They'll call you distant. Ignore that. You're not cold. You're conserving. You're not distant. You're disciplined. You're finally managing your most valuable resource, your inner power. What drains you owns you. Pay attention to this truth. Whatever drains you controls you. If gossip drains you, it owns you. If anger drains you, it owns you. If distraction drains you, it owns you. That's why protecting your energy isn't optional, it's survival. When you master your energy, you master your life. When you waste your energy, you lose control of it. So stop giving free rent to what doesn't pay you back. If it doesn't grow you, it doesn't deserve you. That's the mindset. That's the standard. Protect your energy like money. Real power is quiet. You know who has real power? The person who doesn't flinch, who doesn't argue, who doesn't waste breath proving anything. They're focused, calm, efficient, because real power doesn't shout, it acts. Real strength doesn't react, it directs. Protecting your energy isn't just emotional control, it's life. Absolutely. Here's the complete, full-length audiobook script for Chapter 4. Detachment is power. Repetition phrase, it's not coldness, it's clarity. You've been told to care, to feel deeply, to react quickly. That's the trap. Because when you react instantly, you lose instantly. When you let every emotion take the wheel, you stop driving your own life. Detachment isn't cold, it's control. It's not about being heartless. It's about having a heart that doesn't break every time the world shakes. It's not coldness, it's clarity. What detachment really means. People confuse detachment with indifference. They think it means you don't care. They're wrong. Detachment means you care, but you don't collapse. You feel everything, but you obey nothing. You watch the storm without drowning in it. You hear the noise without losing your focus. You love without losing yourself. That's power. That's maturity. That's detachment. You can't control what happens, but you can control how close it gets to your peace. And that's the game. That's how you win. Emotional fasting. Let's talk about emotional fasting. Fasting means you take a break from consuming. You let your system reset. You clear the toxins. Emotional fasting is the same, but for your mind. You stop reacting for a while. You stop feeding every feeling that shows up. You let emotions pass without swallowing them whole. You observe before you absorb. That's how clarity returns. That's how peace returns. You don't chase every thought. You don't answer every trigger. You don't let every emotion turn into a decision. That's detachment. It's emotional fasting. And it's the habit of strong people. It's not coldness, it's clarity. The 24-hour discipline. Let me give you a rule, a discipline that will change everything. It's called the 24-hour discipline. Whenever you feel an intense emotion, anger, jealousy, sadness, anxiety, don't react. Don't post. Don't reply. Don't decide. Wait 24 hours. If it still matters a day later, address it. If it doesn't, it never did. You have no idea how many mistakes people make in the heat of emotion. How many bridges they burn that never needed to burn. How many apologies they owe that they could have avoided. A single moment of restraint saves a lifetime of regret. That's the key. You don't need to prove how you feel. You don't need to defend your reaction. You just need to pause. You win by waiting. You rise by resisting. The 24-hour discipline turns chaos into wisdom. Because when you pause, you let emotion settle. And when the emotion settles, truth appears. It's not coldness, it's clarity. The science of space. Here's what happens when you detach. You create space. And space is where wisdom lives. Space between what happens and how you respond. Most people have no space. An insult hits, they react. A rejection hits, they panic. A delay happens, they spiral. They live on impulse, and impulse destroys peace. But when you build that tiny gap, that breath, that pause, you become untouchable. You start to see what's real and what's temporary. You start to notice that most things aren't personal, they're patterns. You stop drowning in emotion and start directing it. You stop being the puppet and start being the master. That's what detachment does. It doesn't make you less human. It makes you more powerful. It's not coldness, it's clarity. The freedom of detachment. When you detach, you stop trying to control people. You stop begging for closure. You stop chasing validation. You realize something simple. You can care deeply without needing control. You can love without losing your center. You can engage without attachment to outcomes. That's freedom. That's peace. You stop asking, why don't they see my worth? You start saying, my worth doesn't depend on being seen. You stop saying, they hurt me. You start saying, I allowed that energy too close. You stop blaming. You start observing. And observation is power. Because once you can see without reacting, nothing owns you anymore. That's detachment. That's power. It's not coldness, it's clarity. Real-world detachment. Let's make this practical. You get an angry text. You don't reply. You breathe. You wait. You respond when calm, or not at all. That's detachment. You see someone trying to provoke you online. You don't engage. You don't feed the noise. You move on. That's detachment. You feel jealousy rise when someone succeeds. Instead of reacting, you analyze it. What does this show me about what I want? You turn envy into awareness. That's detachment. You get rejected. You don't spiral. You accept it, learn, and redirect. That's detachment. It's a daily discipline, a quiet strength, a calm that can't be manipulated. Because the detached mind doesn't beg for control. It has control. It's not coldness, it's clarity. The emotional weight you drop. When you master detachment, you drop emotional weight. You stop carrying people who refuse to walk. You stop holding on to conversations that should have ended. You stop reliving moments that are already gone. You stop confusing care with suffering. You can still love without losing peace. You can still feel without falling apart. You can still connect without collapsing. That's the difference between reaction and power. You can say, I love you, but I won't lose myself for you. You can say, I'm hurt, but I'll respond when I'm healed. You can say, I care, but I won't collapse. That's strength. That's mastery. Because peace isn't found by avoiding emotion. It's found by mastering it. It's not coldness, it's clarity. The discipline of distance. Sometimes you have to create distance, not because you hate people, but because you love peace. Distance isn't punishment, it's protection. You don't need to announce your detachment. Just move different. React slower. Speak less. Feel fully, but act wisely. You can't heal in the same noise that hurts you. You can't rise if you're tied to everything that falls. So step back. Reclaim your energy. Redefine your focus. Detachment gives you back your strength because you're no longer controlled by what you can't control. That's how you win. The transformation. The old you reacted to everything. The new you watches everything. The old you needed to respond. The new you chooses when to respond. The old you felt powerless. The new you feels peace. That's the difference detachment makes. That's the power of emotional fasting. That's the beauty of the 24-hour discipline. You're no longer ruled by reaction. You're guided by wisdom. You don't suppress emotions, you manage them. You don't fear feelings, you understand them. You don't collapse, you center. Because now you know the truth. It's not coldness, it's clarity. It's not distance, it's direction. It's not numbness, it's strength. Closing transition. You've learned how to rise above emotion. You've learned how to pause, how to fast, how to choose space over impulse. You've learned that detachment isn't weakness, it's power. You've stopped drowning in feelings. Now it's time to master something even deeper, the discipline that makes you untouchable in a chaotic world. You've built clarity. Now let's build silence. Next, Chapter 5, The discipline of silence.
Absolutely. Here's your complete, full-length Chapter 5, around 1,050 words, written in the tough love minimalist coaching style your audiobook series uses. Chapter 5. Silence is strength. Repetition phrase: the loud lose, the calm conquer. Silence. It's not emptiness. It's not weakness. It's control. The loud lose. The calm conquer. The moment you open your mouth to defend your worth, you've already handed over your power. The more noise you make, the less control you have. Power doesn't shout. Power is felt. You don't see it coming. You sense it. You feel it when a calm person walks into chaos and doesn't flinch. That's not arrogance. That's mastery. That's dominance without a word. The power in stillness. Stillness is not passive. It's active control. It's the ability to command yourself before you command the room. Most people mistake stillness for hesitation, but stillness is strategy. It's the pause before precision. It's the breath before battle. It's the awareness that emotion clouds accuracy. Every time you react loudly, you lose ground. Every time you stay still, you gain power. That's the key. Because silence is not about doing nothing, it's about doing the right thing. It's about knowing when to speak and when to let your presence speak for you. The loud lose, the calm conquer. Silent dominance. Let's talk about what I called silent dominance. It's the unspoken energy that makes people listen before you speak. It's the authority that comes from composure, not volume. You've seen it before. A leader who barely says a word, yet everyone leans in when they do. An athlete who doesn't trash talk, just performs, delivers, wins. That's silent dominance. It's not about pretending to be calm. It's about being calm, under pressure, under criticism, under attack. Your silence becomes your weapon. Your restraint becomes your message. Here's how it works. Eye contact. Hold it, but don't force it. Steady eyes signal control. Posture. Shoulders back, chest open, face neutral. Confidence doesn't need a performance. Tone. Fewer words. Lower voice. Slower pace. Every syllable carries more weight when it's not drowned in noise. That's silent dominance. You don't demand attention, you command it. Because the calm man in the room owns the room. The loud lose. The calm conquer. Why silence threatens the weak. The weak need validation. They need to be seen, heard, and approved. They talk to prove they matter. The strong don't. The strong let results speak. The strong let presence do the talking. The strong know you don't owe anyone an explanation for your standards, your vision, or your growth. When you're silent, insecure people panic. Because they can't read you, they can't predict you, they can't manipulate you. That's the secret. The moment you stop reacting, you become unpredictable. And unpredictable people are powerful. The loud lose. The calm conquer. The discipline of not responding. Silence is not just what you do, it's what you don't do. Don't rush to explain yourself. Don't argue with fools. Don't defend what truth can prove on its own. You have nothing to prove to people who've already decided what they believe. That's wasted energy. That's emotional debt. When you stay silent, you conserve your energy. When you argue, you donate your energy to noise. You have a choice. It's not about being passive. It's about being disciplined. It's about choosing precision over impulse. You can win with words, but you conquer with silence. That's the key. The loud lose. The calm conquer. Real-world power moves. Let's make this real. In business, the person who talks least in a meeting often holds the most power. Why? Because silence signals confidence. It says, I'm not trying to convince you. I already know.
In relationships, silence creates gravity. When you stop over-explaining, apologizing, and chasing validation, people notice. They feel your absence more than they ever respected your noise. In conflict, silence diffuses chaos. The person yelling isn't in control. They're desperate. The one who stays calm wins by default. Every environment has noise, but every leader has silence. And silence doesn't just protect peace, it projects authority. The loud lose, the calm conquer. The science behind silence. There's psychology behind this. When you stay silent during tension, you trigger uncertainty in others. And uncertainty breeds respect. Because humans fear what they can't read. They overthink silence. They interpret it as strength. They project meaning onto your calm. That's the advantage. You let others reveal themselves while you reveal nothing. You study while they react. You collect data while they lose composure. That's how professionals operate. In sports, in business, in life. Every champion has mastered this one principle. You can't dominate what you can't control, and you can't control what you can't calm. Silence is the calm before control. It's not emotionless, it's emotionally intelligent. The loud lose, the calm conquer. Silence over noise. You don't win by having the last word. You win by having the final result. Every time you let noise pull you into reaction, you trade control for attention. You trade discipline for ego. And ego is expensive. It costs peace, focus, and momentum. So stop arguing. Stop proving. Stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. Your silence is your filter. It decides who's worth your energy. It keeps you from wasting effort on battles that don't build you. That's the mindset of mastery. The loud lose, the calm conquer, the art of underreaction. Here's one of the strongest habits you can build. Underreact. No matter what's said, what's done, what's thrown at you, underreact. Because underreaction is control disguised as calm. It's the mental discipline to stay centered when everyone else collapses. When someone disrespects you, stay composed. When life delays you, stay composed. When emotions rise, stay composed. You have a choice. You can explode and lose focus, or breathe and keep control. Every moment gives you that choice. The weak choose noise. The strong choose silence. The loud lose. The calm conquer. The transformation. You're not here to be louder. You're here to be clearer. You're here to build a presence that doesn't depend on volume. When you speak, your words will mean more because you use fewer of them. When you move, your actions will echo longer because you act with restraint. Silence turns impulse into intention. It turns emotion into strategy. It turns chaos into command. This is what emotional control looks like in its highest form. Not noise, not reaction, not chaos. Stillness. Stillness that speaks louder than words. Stillness that commands without shouting. Stillness that conquers without motion. That's your new standard. Because the loud lose, the calm conquer. Closing transition. You've learned how silence multiplies your power. You've learned how restraint commands respect. You've learned that stillness isn't the absence of strength, it's the proof of it. You no longer chase noise. You create gravity. Now it's time to go deeper, beyond control, beyond silence, into something rarer. The art of moving without being seen and building without being heard. Next, Chapter 6, Move in Silence When in Public. Would you like me to continue and write Chapter 6, Move in Silence When in Public, around 1,000 words, in the same tone and pacing?
Absolutely. Here's your complete Chapter 6,
1,050 words, written in the strong, minimal, tough love tone of your YouTube audiobook series. Chapter 6. Control the inner dialogue. Reprogram your thoughts. Reclaim your power. The loudest voice in your life isn't out there. It's in here, inside your head. That voice that whispers, "You're not ready." That voice that doubts you when no one's watching. That voice that turns every challenge into fear. It's not the world breaking you. It's your own words. You can't silence the world until you learn to silence yourself. You can't control life until you control the story running inside your head. Reprogram your thoughts. Reclaim your power. The enemy within. Let's be honest, the world isn't your biggest threat. Your emotions aren't either. It's the voice that narrates every moment of your life. The inner critic, the constant commentator, the invisible enemy that hides behind your own language. It says, "You always fail." It says, "You'll never change." It says, "Why even try?" And you listen, you believe it, you obey it. But here's the truth. That voice isn't you. It's your conditioning. It's your fear speaking through familiarity. You have a choice. You can feed that voice, or you can reprogram it. Reprogram your thoughts. Reclaim your power. The language of weakness versus the language of power. Words aren't neutral. They're commands to your brain. When you say, "I can't," your mind stops searching for solutions. When you say, "I will," your mind starts building pathways. That's the key. You're not talking to yourself, you're programming yourself. Every phrase is a code. Every sentence is a signal. So stop speaking in weakness. Start speaking in strength. Replace "why me" with "what now?" Replace "I can't" with "I'll learn." Replace "this is hard" with "this is training." Your brain obeys the language you give it. That's the real discipline. Not your body, not your routine, but your inner script. Reprogram your thoughts. Reclaim your power. Reframing, the discipline of control. Reframing is how warriors think. It's how leaders stay calm in chaos. It's how disciplined minds turn pressure into performance. When something goes wrong, most people collapse into emotion. They say, "Why is this happening to me?" But the disciplined mind says, "What is this teaching me?" That's reframing. That's emotional intelligence in motion. You can't stop chaos, but you can reframe chaos. You can't stop pain, but you can redefine it. It's not about pretending everything's fine. It's about deciding how you interpret what happens. Same event, different meaning, different outcome. Reprogram your thoughts. Reclaim your power. The science of inner language. Let's get practical. Your brain doesn't respond to reality. It responds to repetition. Whatever you tell it consistently becomes truth. That's how beliefs are formed. Not through facts, but through frequency. You tell yourself, "I'm not enough" 1,000 times, your mind makes it your identity. You tell yourself, "I can handle this" 1,000 times, your mind turns it into muscle memory. So stop feeding your weakness with language. Stop labeling yourself with limitation. Don't say, "I'm anxious." Say, "I'm feeling pressure and I can control it." Don't say, "I'm tired." Say, "I'm recharging for the next round." It's not about lying to yourself. It's about leading yourself. You have a choice. Speak as a victim or speak as a commander. Reprogram your thoughts. Reclaim your power. How to reprogram the voice. Let's break this down into a discipline, not motivation, discipline. Here's how you do it. Step 1, awareness. Catch the negative script in real time. Listen for phrases like, "I always mess up," or "I'm not good enough." Don't fight the thought, just label it. Say to yourself, "That's the old program." Step 2. Reframe. Immediately replace it with power. Turn "I can't handle this" into "I can learn to handle this." Turn "this is too much" into "this is my moment to grow." Step 3. Reinforce. Repeat it out loud if you can, because repetition rewires the neural pathways. You're literally changing the code of your brain. That's how transformation works, not through emotion, through repetition. You can't just feel better. You have to train better. Reprogram your thoughts. Reclaim your power. The trap of emotion-driven thinking. Emotions lie. They tell you temporary truths. They exaggerate the moment and blind you to the bigger picture. You feel rejected and your mind says you're worthless. You fail once and your mind says you'll never succeed. That's emotional thinking. It reacts, not reasons. You can feel fear and still move forward. You can feel pain and still think clearly. You can feel doubt and still act with discipline. That's the difference between the emotional and the controlled. The emotional obeys the feeling. The controlled obeys the mission. You have a choice. Reprogram your thoughts. Reclaim your power, turning discipline into dialogue. Every champion talks to themselves differently. They don't say, "I hope." They say, "I will." They don't say, "maybe someday." They say, "it's already mine. I just need to earn it." That's the language of discipline. That's the inner dialogue of warriors, creators, leaders. You can't fake it. You have to live it. Every time you choose stronger words, you train a stronger mind. Every time you change the tone inside, you change the outcome outside. You become unshakable from the inside out. Reprogram your thoughts. Reclaim your power. The daily practice. Here's how you build this into your day. Morning reset. Before you check your phone, check your language. Say out loud, "Today, I control my thoughts. I control my energy. I control my reactions." Midday reframe. When stress hits, pause. Ask yourself, is this fact or is this feeling? Then act from fact. Night audit. Before bed, review the day. Catch one moment where your inner voice was weak and rewrite it stronger. You're not just managing mindset, you're leading yourself. You're becoming your own coach. Because here's the truth. No one's coming to fix your inner world. That's your job. That's your discipline. Reprogram your thoughts. Reclaim your power. The transformation. The day you control your self-talk, you stop being reactive. You stop being emotional. You start being deliberate. No more mental chaos. No more surrendering to the voice of doubt. No more calling weakness your identity. You become the architect of your reality, not the echo of your emotions. Your inner voice becomes your ally, not your enemy. Your thoughts start serving your purpose, not sabotaging it. And the world feels different, not because it changed, but because you did. That's power. That's freedom. That's emotional mastery. Reprogram your thoughts. Reclaim your power. Closing transition. You've learned to rewrite your inner code. You've learned to command your thoughts like a general commands an army. You've learned the difference between emotion and instruction. Now it's time to test that control under real pressure. You've built mental discipline. Now let's see if it holds when the world shakes. Next, Chapter 7. Pressure reveals discipline. Would you like me to continue with Chapter 7, Pressure Reveals Discipline next? 7 to 9 minutes, approximately 1,000 words?
Absolutely. Here's your complete Chapter 7, 1,050 words, in the same powerful, disciplined audiobook voice, ready for recording. Chapter 7, Pressure Reveals Discipline. Repetition phrase, calm is your weapon. Pressure doesn't break you. It exposes you. It shows what's real.
It shows what's practiced. It shows what's inside when the mask falls off. Anyone can look confident when life is comfortable. Anyone can talk discipline when things go their way. But when the pressure hits, when the noise rises, that's when truth walks in. Pressure doesn't create weakness, it reveals it. Pressure doesn't destroy character, it exposes the lack of it. You don't build discipline in chaos, you reveal it there. And in that revelation lies your power. Calm is your weapon. The truth about pressure. Pressure isn't the enemy. It's the mirror. It shows you exactly who you are when control is stripped away. It shows you what you really believe when comfort disappears. When pressure hits, you see two kinds of people: those who react and those who respond. The reactors break fast. They panic, overthink, lash out. Their emotions take the driver's seat. The responders breathe. They pause. They calculate. They use pressure as fuel, not proof of failure. That's the difference. Pressure isn't about endurance, it's about presence. The disciplined don't escape pressure, they master it. They study it. They use it to strengthen their emotional armor. Because calm is your weapon. Pressure exposes your training. Discipline isn't built in a crisis, it's revealed by it. When everything's on fire, your habits decide what happens next. Not your feelings, not your motivation, your habits. You train for calm when life is quiet, so you can stay calm when life gets loud. That's the key. Pressure exposes how consistent your preparation has been. If you fall apart quickly, that's feedback, not failure. It's a signal telling you what to strengthen. Pressure isn't punishment, it's measurement. So when life gets hard, stop saying, "Why me?" Start saying, "Show me." Show me where I need to grow. Show me where I still react. Show me what still controls me. That's discipline. That's mastery. Calm is your weapon. The power of controlled breathing. Here's the science behind calm. Your breath controls your brain. Your brain controls your body. Your body controls your reactions. That means calm isn't mystical, it's mechanical. You can't think your way into peace, you breathe your way there. Here's a tool, the 4x4 discipline. 4 seconds in, 4 hold, 4 out, 4 hold again. Do it anywhere, in traffic, in conflict, before a meeting, after an argument. You're not escaping, you're regaining control. That's not weakness, that's strategy. When you control your breath, you send one message to your nervous system: I'm safe, I'm in control. Your body listens, your mind follows, your reactions slow. And the more you practice it, the faster you can activate calm under chaos. That's your weapon. That's your discipline. Calm is your weapon. The posture reset. Pressure doesn't just live in your mind, it shows up in your body. When stress hits, you hunch, tighten, look down. Your physiology collapses and your confidence collapses with it. So here's another tool, the posture reset. When you feel pressure rise, shoulders back, chest open, eyes up, breathe slow. That single act changes your internal state. It tells your mind, we're not victims, we're in command. Posture is silent dominance. You don't need to yell, you don't need to prove. You just stand tall, steady, grounded, unshaken. People feel that energy before you ever speak. That's why real power is quiet, because calm is your weapon. The 3-second rule of response. Here's another discipline. Delay every reaction by 3 seconds. It sounds small, but it's everything. Those 3 seconds separate leaders from losers. Those 3 seconds give you time to breathe, to reframe, to respond with clarity instead of chaos. Someone insults you?
Pause 3 seconds. Someone challenges you? Pause 3 seconds. In that silence, you reclaim your power. You stop being emotionally hijacked. It's not about ignoring conflict, it's about managing it with precision. The undisciplined react fast. The disciplined react last. Because they've already chosen who they want to be before the moment arrives. That's the key. Calm isn't the absence of feeling, it's the mastery of reaction. Calm is your weapon. The illusion of toughness. Most people think toughness is noise, anger, aggression, loudness. But that's insecurity pretending to be strength. That's weakness wearing armor. True toughness is silence under stress. It's the ability to hold your ground when others lose theirs. It's steady breathing when everyone else is gasping. You don't prove power, you project it. And that projection comes from control. The calm mind doesn't break, it sharpens. Pressure doesn't bend it, it polishes it. You become the one people look to when things fall apart, not because you talk louder, but because you think clearer. That's real dominance. That's real composure. That's emotional leadership. Calm is your weapon. Pressure training in real life. Don't wait for a crisis to practice calm. Train it daily. Here's how. 1. Small stress reps. When something minor annoys you, a slow driver, a rude comment, a delay, use it as a drill. Say to yourself, this is training. Breathe, reset, move on. 2. Daily reflection. Ask yourself at night, where did I react? Where did I stay calm? This awareness builds control. 3. Pressure simulation. Push yourself intentionally. Workouts, cold showers, hard conversations. Learn to stay calm in controlled discomfort so chaos doesn't surprise you later. You don't rise to the occasion, you fall to your training. Train for calm, not comfort. That's how you win under pressure. Because calm is your weapon. The choice in the storm. Every pressure moment gives you two options, collapse or command. You can let the moment define you, or you can define the moment. You can react emotionally or respond strategically. You have a choice, and every choice writes your story. The world doesn't reward panic, it rewards precision. When you stay calm, you see what others can't. You think clearer, move smarter, and influence deeper. That's leadership. That's power. That's control. Calm is your weapon. The transformation. You are not your emotions. You are their commander. Pressure doesn't change who you are. It reveals who you've trained to be. So train calm. Breathe deeper. Stand taller. Respond slower. Because calm is not passive. Calm is preparation. Calm is confidence. Calm is control. And when pressure comes, and it will, you'll no longer fear it. You'll use it. You'll lead through it. You'll rise above it. Calm is your weapon. Closing transition. You've learned to stand still under fire. You've learned to lead with composure when the world shakes. You've learned that pressure doesn't define you. It reveals you. Now it's time to go deeper. From outer control to inner mastery. You've learned calm. Now learn command. Next, Chapter 8. Master the Moment. Would you like me to generate Chapter 8, Master the Moment, next, in the same authoritative, cinematic audiobook tone?
Absolutely. Here's your full 1,050-word Chapter 8 in the same sharp, cinematic, tough love audiobook tone. Chapter 8. The Strategic Pause. Repetition phrase, you don't need to react fast. You need to respond right. Speed isn't strength. Precision is. The world teaches you to move fast, talk fast, decide fast. But power doesn't live in motion.
Power lives in the pause. The pause is where discipline breathes. The pause is where clarity forms. The pause is where your emotion meets your logic and decides who wins. You don't need to react fast. You need to respond right. The illusion of speed. Most people mistake reaction for control. They think moving first means they're winning. It doesn't. Fast emotions create slow progress. Quick reactions lead to deep regret. Look at how most arguments start. Instant words, instant chaos. Look at how bad decisions are made. Instant emotion, instant mistake. The pause could have saved it all. That small space between trigger and reaction, that's your real battlefield. That's where mastery lives. You have a choice. React out of impulse or respond out of intention. The weak move fast. The strong move right. Because it's not about being first. It's about being effective. You don't need to react fast. You need to respond right. Power lives in the pause. Think about the world's most disciplined operators, snipers, surgeons, CEOs. They don't rush. They don't panic. They don't guess. They wait. They breathe. They execute when it's time. A sniper waits hours for one clean shot. A surgeon pauses before every incision. A CEO takes days to decide when millions are at stake because they know haste costs more than hesitation. The pause isn't weakness, it's the ultimate form of control. It's not inaction, it's intention. That pause is your filter. It catches what doesn't deserve your energy. It protects you from emotional debt. The world thinks power is loud, but power is still. Power is deliberate. You don't need to react fast. You need to respond right. The 3-second rule. Here's the practice. The 3-second rule. When you feel triggered, stop. 3 seconds. That's all. Breathe. Observe. Decide. It sounds simple, but it's transformative. Those 3 seconds create space, and in that space, emotion loses its grip. You stop being a slave to impulse and start being a commander of choice. Someone insults you? Breathe 3 seconds. Someone challenges your opinion? Breathe 3 seconds. Someone tests your boundaries? Breathe 3 seconds. That pause rewires your instinct. You don't need to say the first thing that comes to mind. You don't need to send that message, reply to that comment, prove that point. You just need 3 seconds of silence to protect hours, days, even years of peace. You have a choice. You always do. The pause is your armor. The pause is your power. You don't need to react fast. You need to respond right. Power lives in the pause. Think about the world's most disciplined operators, snipers, surgeons, CEOs. They don't rush. They don't panic. They don't guess. They wait. They breathe. They execute when it's time. A sniper waits hours for one clean shot. A surgeon pauses before every incision. A CEO takes days to decide when millions are at stake. Because they know haste costs more than hesitation. The pause isn't weakness. It's the ultimate form of control. It's not inaction, it's intention. That pause is your filter. It catches what doesn't deserve your energy. It protects you from emotional debt. The world thinks power is loud, but power is still. Power is deliberate. You don't need to react fast, you need to respond right. The 3-second rule. Here's the practice. The 3-second rule. When you feel triggered, stop. 3 seconds. That's all. Breathe. Observe. Decide. It sounds simple, but it's transformative. Those 3 seconds create space, and in that space, emotion loses its grip. You stop being a slave to impulse and start being a commander of choice. Someone insults you? Breathe 3 seconds. Someone challenges your opinion? Breathe 3 seconds. Someone tests your boundaries? Breathe 3 seconds. That pause rewires your instinct. You don't need to say the first thing that comes to mind. You don't need to send that message, reply to that comment, prove that point. You just need 3 seconds of silence to protect hours, days, even years of peace. You have a choice. You always do. The pause is your armor. The pause is your power. You don't need to react fast. You need to respond right. How the mind works. Here's what's really happening inside your brain. Your emotions rise before your logic activates. That's biology. It's survival instinct, the amygdala firing before the prefrontal cortex catches up. But that's not destiny. It's design. The pause gives your logic time to turn on. It's like putting distance between the spark and the fuel. When you pause, you give yourself the advantage. You stop letting instinct dictate outcome. That's why the pause feels uncomfortable. It's not natural. It's trained. It's earned. Emotional control isn't automatic. It's deliberate repetition under pressure. So every time you hold back, you're not losing power. You're refining it. Every time you wait, you're sharpening the blade of discipline. You're teaching your mind, I'm in control now. You don't need to react fast. You need to respond right. The art of observation. The pause gives you time to see. When you react, you're blind. When you pause, you see everything. The motive, the emotion, the pattern. That's what emotional mastery looks like. Observation before execution. In that pause, you notice tone. You notice energy. You notice what's really being said and what's not being said. And the moment you see clearly, you hold the power. Most people talk themselves into traps. The disciplined let silence expose truth. Remember this. The person who pauses longest controls the room. Because silence is authority. You don't need to react fast. You need to respond right. The discipline of delay. You want to know the secret to lasting power? Delay. Not avoidance, not suppression. Delay. The delay is where maturity lives. The 24-hour rule for major emotions. Never respond the same day you're angry, insulted, or excited. Because emotional highs and lows distort perception. You can't make clear decisions in a fog. Give it time. Sleep on it. Wait for clarity. If it's real, it'll still matter tomorrow. If it's not, it'll disappear by morning. Discipline is measured by how long you can wait before reacting. Because that's the line between amateurs and masters. Amateurs explode. Masters evaluate. You don't need to react fast. You need to respond right. Power lives in the pause. Think about the world's most disciplined operators, snipers, surgeons, CEOs. They don't rush. They don't panic. They don't guess. They wait. They breathe. They execute when it's time. A sniper waits hours for one clean shot. A surgeon pauses before every incision. A CEO takes days to decide when millions are at stake. Because they know haste costs more than hesitation. The pause isn't weakness, it's the ultimate form of control. It's not inaction, it's intention. That pause is your filter. It catches what doesn't deserve your energy. It protects you from emotional debt. The world thinks power is loud, but power is still. Power is deliberate. You don't need to react fast. You need to respond right. The 3-second rule. Here's the practice. The 3-second rule. When you feel triggered, stop. 3 seconds. That's all. Breathe. Observe. Decide. It sounds simple, but it's transformative. Those 3 seconds create space. And in that space, emotion loses its grip. You stop being a slave to impulse and start being a commander of choice. Someone insults you? Breathe 3 seconds. Someone challenges your opinion? Breathe 3 seconds. Someone tests your boundaries? Breathe 3 seconds. That pause rewires your instinct. You don't need to say the first thing that comes to mind. You don't need to send that message, reply to that comment, prove that point. You just need 3 seconds of silence to protect hours, days, even years. Chapter 9. Move in silence, win in public. Repetition phrase. They don't need to know, they'll see. They don't need to know, they'll see. Say it again. They don't need to know, they'll see. That's the mindset of quiet discipline. That's the mindset of real strength. Because the loud chase validation. The calm chase mastery. The ones who talk the most usually move the least. The ones who stay silent usually build the most. It's not about how much noise you make. It's about how much progress you produce. The world doesn't reward talkers. It rewards finishers. And finishers build in silence. Look around. Everyone's posting, announcing, explaining. Everyone wants to be seen trying. But few want to be unseen building. You have a choice. Be impressive online or be effective in real life. That's the key. The person who moves in silence doesn't waste energy proving themselves. They use that energy to sharpen their craft. Because silence isn't weakness, it's protection. When you move quietly, no one can interrupt your process. When you build privately, no one can sabotage your momentum. Your focus stays yours. Your peace stays intact. Your direction stays clear. The truth is, people ruin more dreams by talking about them than by failing at them. You talk, they doubt. You announce, they envy. You share, they interfere. Sometimes it's not the world against you, it's the noise around you. The comments, the opinions, the energy drain. Protect your goals from that. You don't owe anyone your plans. You owe yourself your results. That's the discipline of silence. Every great innovator knew this. Think of Steve Jobs. Silent years in a garage before Apple became a movement. Think of Elon Musk. Endless hours in labs, not on stages, before rockets touched the sky. Think of Kobe Bryant. In the gym at 4 a.m., no camera, no audience, just work. They didn't announce every step. They didn't need to. They let their work speak. You don't need to tell them what you're doing. You need to show them what you've become. Because results scream louder than words, and progress is the only real flex. Understand this. Attention is a drug. It feels good. It feeds your ego. But it also steals your drive. Every time you announce a goal, you get a hit of dopamine. You feel like you've already achieved something. And that fake satisfaction kills the hunger that builds momentum. That's why real grinders don't talk. They crave the win, not the attention. You have to break that addiction. Don't chase applause. Chase alignment. Don't seek validation. Seek execution. You don't need their permission. You need your focus. That's the key. Here's what silence looks like in practice. When they ask what you're working on, you smile and say, "You'll see." When they doubt you, you don't defend yourself, you build harder. When they mock you, you don't argue, you keep moving. Because while they're talking, you're transforming. While they're laughing, you're leveling up. While they're judging, you're becoming unstoppable. Let them wonder. Let them assume. Let them gossip. You have better things to do. Like when. Moving in silence also means mastering restraint. It means you don't react to every insult. You don't respond to every challenge. You don't reveal every strategy. You stay composed. You stay dangerous. Because real power doesn't announce itself. It's felt. You ever notice how the most confident person in the room rarely speaks first? They don't need to. Their energy does the talking. That's how you need to live. Quiet confidence, silent authority, calm domination. Because when you truly know what you're building, you don't need to convince anyone else. Here's your instruction. From now on, protect your plans like they're gold, because they are. Write your goals down. Keep them close. Don't tell the world, tell your work ethic. Your silence is your armor. Your consistency is your weapon. And when the time comes, your success will speak for you. Loudly, clearly, unarguably. That's how legends move. That's how winners think. That's how you reclaim your power. They don't need to know how hard you've worked. They don't need to know how much you've sacrificed. They don't need to know your strategy. They'll see it when the results hit. They'll see it when the world finally catches up to what you've been doing in the dark. Because everything powerful starts in silence. Every empire, every movement, every breakthrough. The noise comes later, when the world finally realizes what's been happening behind the scenes. Until then, stay quiet, stay focused, stay relentless. You have a choice. Talk about the dream or build the reality, but never both. Remember, they don't need to know. They'll see. You've now learned how to protect your vision. You've mastered the art of moving without noise, building without broadcasting. And that's what makes you dangerous. But we're not done, because silence is powerful, but stillness is unbreakable. You've learned to move quietly. Now you'll learn to stand firm. Next, Chapter 10, Unmoved, Unshaken, Unstoppable. Because the ultimate strength isn't in movement, it's in stillness.
Chapter 10, Unmoved, Unshaken, Unstoppable. Feel everything. Be moved by nothing. That's the goal. That's the summit of emotional mastery. That's the place where chaos can't touch you anymore. Stillness isn't weakness. It's not numbness. It's control. Because when you master your reactions, you stop being controlled by life and start controlling it. You have a choice. Every time you're tested, every time someone tries to pull emotion out of you, you have a choice. React or remain. That's the key. Most people are emotional puppets. Every word pulls a string. Every opinion shakes their core. They're driven by impulse, not intention. But not you, not anymore. Because this chapter, this moment, is where you become untouchable, unmoved, unshaken, unstoppable. The calm person doesn't lack emotion. They go through emotion, but they don't get lost in it. They feel everything, but they don't follow everything. They process. They pause. Then they proceed with precision. That's mastery. Stillness isn't suppression. It's strategy. Suppressing emotion means you bury it. Mastering emotion means you use it. Anger becomes fuel. Fear becomes awareness. Pain becomes focus. That's what it means to feel everything, be moved by nothing. You don't deny your feelings, you direct them. You turn fire into discipline. You turn chaos into clarity. Because emotion is energy, and energy, when harnessed, becomes power. Let's talk about centered aggression. It's a term used by elite performers, soldiers, fighters, leaders. Centered aggression means you bring intensity without instability. You're powerful but composed. You're fierce but calm. You're in motion but under control. Think of a lion before the hunt. Not frantic, not loud, not emotional. Focused, silent, ready. That's centered aggression. You don't need to show your anger. You don't need to prove your dominance. You just execute with precision and purpose, because it's not about rage. It's about restraint. It's not about reaction. It's about response. It's not about emotion. It's about execution. That's discipline in motion. When you're unmoved, you become the anchor in the storm.
The world spins, you don't. People panic, you plan. Everyone reacts, you respond. That's how power is earned. And here's the truth. Emotional control isn't natural. It's trained. It's built. It's refined through resistance. Every time you face something that triggers you, you're given a test. A test to prove who's in charge, you or your emotions. And every time you choose stillness over reaction, you win. Every time you choose logic over impulse, you grow. Every time you choose pause over panic, you rise. That's the real scoreboard of strength. Let's make this practical. When someone disrespects you, don't react. Breathe. Observe. Ask, is this worth my peace? Most of the time, it's not. When life throws chaos your way, don't spiral. Ground yourself. Remind yourself, I've been through worse. I can handle this. When you feel that emotional surge, anger, fear, insecurity, don't obey it. Sit with it. Understand it. Then move forward with it, not because of it. You have a choice. Always. Here's the secret. Calmness is control. The calm mind can see what the reactive mind misses. The calm person can hear what the emotional person distorts. The calm leader can act while everyone else is still reacting. Stillness gives you sight. Sight gives you strategy. Strategy gives you victory. That's the chain. That's how you rise. It's not about feeling less. It's about managing more. It's about leading yourself before you lead anyone else. When you reach this level, you stop being manipulated by others' emotions. You stop chasing emotional validation. You stop letting small things break your big vision. You become dangerous. Because the person who can't be provoked, the person who doesn't flinch under pressure, the person who can be surrounded by noise and still hear their own mind, that person can't be defeated. You can't threaten calm. You can't control peace. You can't break discipline. Every great warrior knows this. It's not the loudest fighter who wins. It's the still one, the patient one, the prepared one. Every great leader knows this. It's not the one who shouts orders. It's the one whose presence calms chaos. Every great human knows this. Stillness is the highest power. Because when you stop being moved by emotion, you start moving the world by choice. Let's call it what it is. Emotional stillness is your final transformation. It's what makes you unstoppable. Not because you feel less, but because you respond better. You've learned through this journey to protect your energy, to master silence, to think before you move, to lead yourself before you lead others. And now you learn to stand still in the storm. That's mastery. That's power. That's peace. Remember this. Stillness doesn't mean no motion. It means no emotional motion. You can be in action, in progress, in pursuit, but inside you're centered, you're calm, you're unshaken. You can feel it all, the doubt, the pressure, the pain, and still stand firm. Because feeling isn't the enemy, losing control is. So, feel everything, but be moved by nothing. That's how you win. Now breathe. Inhale power. Exhale distraction. Inhale focus. Exhale fear. Stillness. Calm. Control. You've reached the place where nothing external decides your internal state. You've reached the place where chaos bows to composure. You've reached the place where emotion serves you, not the other way around. This is what it means to be unmoved, unshaken, unstoppable. You started this journey learning not to react. Now you've learned to rule. Because control doesn't start with power, it starts with peace. And peace comes from stillness. So, from this day forward, let the world spin. Let the noise rise. Let the chaos unfold. You'll be right there, calm, focused, untouchable. Feel everything. Be moved by nothing. You are unmoved. You are unshaken. You are unstoppable. End of chapter 10.
You've just learned what most never do. Control over the one thing that rules the world. The weak react. The strong respond. The lost seek validation. The disciplined move in silence. You don't owe the world a reaction. You owe yourself control. Every second you pause, you rise. Every silence, you strengthen. Every calm choice, you build power. The world runs on emotion, but you're different now. You don't chase peace, you create it. You don't fight chaos, you command it. This is your new standard. This is your new identity. Feel everything. Be moved by nothing. You've mastered the power of not reacting. Now go prove it every single day.